Hello, I'm Jana, and welcome back to the Crafty Corner. Today, we're going to be creating with some of the brand new Tim Holtz Sizzix Halloween Vault collection. There are so many fun dies that I may have ended up using elements from all of them for today's project. So, if you'd like to see exactly which supplies we're going to be using, go ahead and pause here. All right, let's head over to the Crafty Corner. Today is going to be all about Sizzix. So let's take a quick look at the new Tim Holtz Halloween from the Vault sets. So first we have got this one. This is Vault Wicked. Definitely my favorite set this year. I love the witch and I love all the accessories that come with her. And I'm particularly excited about the moon. Now this is a mini size of the crescent moon and stars that used to be a big sty. Super happy to see that moon back even in a smaller size. That is going to be delightful to play with later on. Then we have got Fright Night, and as Tim mentioned in his live, we now have 3 different sizes of ghosties. If you've got Halloween things and another from the Vault set, then you're going to have 3 sizes of ghosts to play with. And as we've said before, this is the year of the ghost. So check out those fantastic ghosties. Next, we have Coffin Box. Now, I'm really excited about this one because of the letters. The letters are what sold me on this completely. They're so gothic, they're so fun, and I'm going to enjoy greatly creating with those probably year-round. And of course, we also have some really cool embellishments for the box. Next, we've got a die set that is going to be playing well all year long. This is Vault Foliage Wreath, and look at that. We can change up the colors and we can make this spring, summer, or fall. We could even get some winter vibes going with this as well. Loving that look so much. And as we know, there's going to be another one coming out for Christmas. And last but not least, we have got Vault Gothic Portraits. Now here, I love the letters. The letters have made me very, very happy. And of course, we get that cute little crow over here. We got one heck of a creepy spider, and we've got the classic portraits and a few bats. So lots of fun things to create with. Today, we're going to be featuring the wreath and some of the text. But before we dive into that, we need to create a few embellishments for our wreath. We're going to be doing 2 different wreaths. We're going to be doing a classic fall, and we're going to be doing a slightly spooky and fun Halloween wreath too. But we need to make a few embellishments. So we're going to be pulling in one of the new mini Tim Holtz stencils. This is THMS 186. And we're going to be making a few pumpkins that I'll be able to add into our wreath. Now, this is a really neat stencil. This is a layering stencil, and literally we're talking layers because we've got the base shape of the pumpkin and then we've got the details with the face. Now I'm going to do things a little bit backwards because we're going to be using an archival ink for the details on the pumpkins, which I'm going to do first. Then I'm going to go back with a bit of distress ink for the base, and after we're going to jazz this up even more and go in with a dash of sparkle texture paste. So let's go ahead and add those features first with the archival. Now I just need to grab a dabber. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to be going in with our Distress Black Archival ink. So we're just going to place that down, and I'm going to be using a mini dabber, and we're going to be pushing that ink right through the stencil, and I'm going to get 4 of these pumpkins ready to layer up. Okay, that's row number 1, and then we'll just go down here for row 2. Mini dabbers are working really, really well. That's perfect for getting in the little detailed spots on these pumpkins. Okay, so we've got our pumpkins. Now we're going to go ahead and quickly dry this off so I don't have any smudging in between my layers. Okay, And I'm going to give my stencil a very quick clean. Okay, and we're now going to use that second portion of the stencil. I'm going to line that up carefully, like that. Just need to move that so all my lines are centered. Let's see here. Yeah, I think so. That looks good. And now I'm going to be going in with some carved pumpkin. Again, I've got my mini blending tool. Good. Ooh, it's really bright. I like it. All right. That is nice and bright. Oh, that one didn't quite line up. I want to try that again. Let's see here. Is that right? There we go. That looks better. Just add a little bit more ink. Good. Okay. So now I'm going to quickly dry that off, and then we're going to be going over the top with some Distress Sparkle Paste. Now let's line these up again and go in with our sparkle paste. Okay, checking all my lines. That should be good. Okay, so I've got my mini sparkle paste right here. Just open that. I've got a palette knife. Okay. Let's add a bit of sparkle. So just carefully spreading a little bit of this on. I'm probably going to have a little bit of overlap, but not a big deal since I'm planning on cutting these out. But maybe if I want this to be a little bit neater, I could mask next time. Okay, so that should be good. And let's gently lift the stencil. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside to dry, and then after we will cut out our sparkling pumpkins. So setting that right over there. Now I'm just going to quickly clean up the stencil. Then we move on to the next part of our project. So next, while we're waiting for that to dry, I'm going to be pulling in a journal, because for the Spooky Halloween piece, we're going to be using it as a journal spread. So I've got my Dina Wakley craft journal, and I've got my collage of stickers all over this. So we'll open up to a page and embellish it a bit. Got lots of different stickers on here. It's fun. So we've got a nice big page to work with. Let's just zoom out a little bit. There we go. So what I'm thinking is that I want to do something with distress crayons. We're going to make a background and maybe do a little bit of stenciling. So I'm thinking we're going to be using some of the metallic crayons, and we're going to be smudging them on our page to get something cool and spooky. So I'm going to use purples, and I'm also going to be pulling in black soot. Now, to get the best reaction with the distress crayons, I'm going to want to use some collage paste. This is going to help me glide the crayons over our surface. So we're going to get some paste and spread that around. So I'm just going to use my finger for this. If you don't want to use your finger, a sponge applicator would work great, and so would a paintbrush. But I'm trying to just go for a really thin layer. We don't need a whole lot. We're not actually gluing anything down. This is just a base coat so that our crayons will glide nicely. All right. That's already half a page done with just a little scoop. And the thinner a layer we go with, the quicker this is going to dry, and that means the sooner we can start putting down our distress crayons. Now, the distress crayons love to glide on a semi-slick surface. You don't want to do something too crazy like glossy cardstock. That I've found doesn't work as well, but just putting a layer of collage medium, you can even do gesso, that would work really well on your surface, and then you can have all sorts of fun playtime with the crayons. All right, almost there. All right, that looks great. We'll just give this a minute or two to dry, and we'll be ready to make our background. Okay, our surface is nice and dry, so the next thing we're going to do is scribble down some distress crayon. So I'm going to start with some black soot. Ooh, and already that is gliding beautifully. So just going to be pretty random. We're just getting down color right now. Okay. That's looking good. That should be a good start. Now we're going to add some accents of purple. We've got Fortune Teller. Start with that. And these are the Distress Mica crayons. And we also have Ominous Twilight, which is my absolute favorite color out of the Halloween line. Okay. Ooh, that is such a good purple. Okay, so now we're just going to smudge this. You could use a foam applicator, or you can use your fingers. Now, one thing I do recommend is having some water off to the side, just so that you can dip your fingers and help the crayon start moving. So just like that, we're just going to smudge it out. And if your fingers get too dirty or contaminated, just wipe it off on a cloth. Okay, so I'm kind of trying to blend out my lighter colors first, and then I'm dipping back and getting the black blended in as well. But I want to smudge out those purples. There we go, because if we smudge out the black first, that's going to be dark, and that will overpower the other things that I've got going on. That is moving so nicely over the collage medium surface. Definitely a good way to get your colors to move when you're doing smudge. Alright, now I'm kind of dipping into the black. Just filling in those spots. Ooh. Definitely liking the way the background's coming out. It's kind of grungy and dark. Just what I was going for. Then we've got those little splashes of beautiful color in there. If I lose too much color, I can always do a second layer of Distress Crayon. Okay. All right, pretty much done, but I do want to go back in and add in some more of the crayon. Ooh, there we go. Good. Ooh. I love the metallic accent. All right, now I want just a dash more ominous twilight, and then we're going to call this background done. That is really vibrant. Love that. So, I think we are pretty good. Yeah, I think I'm really happy. Okay, so for the moment we're going to be setting aside the journal, and we're going to come back to that in a bit. I'm still waiting for our glittery sparkly pumpkins to dry. So while we wait for all that, we're going to work on the fall card with the wreath, and there's going to be a lot of assembly going on. So let's pull that in. So I die cut lots and lots of pieces. They're all right here. Now, with all of these fantastic fall parts and pieces, we're going to need to put some of them together. I'm going to kind of sort out the pieces that are already in one piece and good to go, but we've got other stuff that needs to be layered up. And for that, we will definitely be putting things on fast forward. So let's go ahead and do that right now, and then we'll come back and see about building a wreath. Here are all of our completed fall foliage pieces. As you can see, we had a little bit of assembly to do to put the centers and flowers, to add details to leaves, and to create these gorgeous little leaf clusters. Now we are ready to do our card assembly. So I'm just going to gently push these off to the side, and we're going to start building our wreath. Now the foundation that I've chosen is this gorgeous sparkling plaid craft stock. This is from the new Ideology Halloween release, and I am loving this so much. Oh, so sparkly, oh, so fun. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking the parts of our wreath, and we're going to lay down our these are like briars or maybe stick sections. We'll lay that down first and then start building on top with all of the fun fall elements that we just assembled. So what I did first is I die cut this segment out of metallic gold craft stock. Again, this is by Ideology. And we're just going to stick that right here. It's going to be centered and kind of near the top of our card. So that would be layer one, and then I also die cut the same piece again out of some craft stock, and that's going to give us layer two. I just need to do a little bit of weeding to get these extra pieces out of here. I did add some double-sided tape to make the assembly process a bit smoother. So just take me a moment or two and we'll have all those extra pieces out of here. Here is layer two, and I'm just going to twist that and put that here. There we go. And next we're going to start adding in our leaves. I've also got a beautiful red bow that's going to end up right here. So I'm just kind of using that as a marker, and we're going to do just a little bit of setup with our leaves and flowers, just so that I kind of have an idea of where I'm placing things. I'm being pretty haphazard at the moment. I don't really have a plan yet. I'm just placing things down to see how they're going to look. And so far we've got so many gorgeous pieces to play with. And I love that. And this is going to be the fun part, building up the wreath to see how all of those wonderful elements work together. Ooh. I really like these branchy leafy sprays. That, I think, is probably my favorite element right now. Okay, let's see here. I can tuck that right there. I like that. Then we've got some other little flowers. Ooh, so many choices. So many different pieces to play with. Wow, I love that. Oh, I've got these nice little flowers that I can tuck in, kind of little fill-in-the-blank pieces. Wow. Lots and lots of choice. I think I actually made too many pieces, so that's great. I'll have leftovers for later so I can create something else at a later time. Okay, tuck that there. This can go here. And I want one more of these, which I could put over here. All right, that wreath is looking really full, so I'm just going to put the other pieces off to the side and I can use them another time. Cool. So we are going to be gluing this down with some more collage medium. Let's go ahead and put this on fast forward as we glue all of our pieces in place and add the ribbon. So here is our finished assembled fall foliage wreath, and that is so much fun. I love the colors and I love that we've got so many layers. Now we're going to be adding a sentiment, and I stamped a sentiment on some craft stock using the Scarecrow CMS 451 because it had the sentiment Happy Fall, which is perfect since we're doing a fall themed card. Now I'm just going to grab a couple of foam squares and we'll be able to add that right to the wreath. There we go. Just peel off the backing and we'll stick that down. I'm just going to tuck that behind that flower, kind of under this one. There we go. Perfect. And it says Happy Fall. Now for the finishing touches on this card. Since we're in fall making mode, we're going to be pulling in some jute twine, and I wanted to wrap a couple of layers around this part of the card. So it's going to put that right here. And we're just going to wrap 3 times like that. Perfect. And now I'll just snip that and I'll attach that on the back with a bit of washi tape. So I've got the recoil scissors, perfect for snipping. Great. Now I just need a little bit of tape, and I happen to have some washi off to the side. Oh. And we're just going to carefully check to make sure that everything is centered on this side. Yes, it is. Great. Now I'll just take my washi and stick that on here. All right, I like that. Now I wanted to add a little bit more bling. So in the 4 corners, we have got to add some droplets. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. That'll give our card a finished look. So I've got some of the gold droplets. I'm just going to add those. Great. And one more. Okay. So here is the finished fall card. We're now going to bounce over and use the exact same die set, but we're going to give it a Halloween twist. So our base should be all nice and dry now, and we've got some pumpkins to cut out. These are the ones that we stenciled earlier and used the sparkly glitter. And that's the Distress Sparkle Paste. So I'm just going to cut these out and we'll be able to add them to our Halloween themed wreath. Okay. So I'm just kind of chunking these up to make them easier to manipulate. There we go. All right. So I want 3 of these, and remembering to twist our substrate, not our hand, because that makes for much easier cutting. There we go. Just working our way around. Definitely liking these. I love the added shine, and the detail with that layer of black archival really does pop. So that is very cool. Okay, so we've got those. Now let's go ahead and start assembling the wreath. Now let's pull in our journal. We've got our base with our Distress Crayon background. Now we can start building our Halloween wreath. So I die cut the twiggy wreath part from some purple sparkle, and this was some of the deco paper from a few years ago that I put on top of some craft stock. Then we have a piece of black craft stock, so we're going to be layering those 2 pieces together. I'm going to be taking some collage medium and just dripping a little bit on the back of each wreath piece, just enough to keep all of these things glued down to the page. We're going to try to be really light-handed and avoid the glue ooze. So just very lightly adding in our glue. Great, so that's piece number 1. We're just going to place that down. There we go. Just going to hold that a second or so. And let's go ahead and do the same thing to piece number 2. Again, just going really, really lightly on the cardstock, and then we'll be able to layer this up. I love the contrast with the sparkly color and then the more matte color. It's definitely giving me the fun Halloween vibes that I was looking for. So just holding that, giving the glue a moment, and then we'll start figuring out the rest of the composition of this page. Okay, so the wreath pieces are good. Now we're going to be bringing in the rest of our pieces. So we have got all sorts of fun Halloween things. First, I've got the witches. So I die cut them in 2 different directions. One I had cardstock face up, the other I had cardstock face down, so that I could have 2 witches facing each other. And we've also got a shiny metallic ribbon that's from More Ideology cardstock. And then we have a word die cut out of some more of the black deco paper. And I think that's going to go above on the wreath. And then we've got all sorts of fun little embellishments. And I pulled these from the various vault sets. And I also went into Modern Festive to pull the really cool berry pieces, which I then die cut in gold and green. So we've also got some sparkling stars cut from Sparkle Craft Stock. So let's go ahead and just figure out how we're going to be placing the pieces, and then we'll look at gluing down the wreath. So I'm going to start with the bats. Those are definitely the most unusual shape that we're going to be using. So I'm going to space the bats out at even intervals, and then we will put the other pieces in to fill in the space to try to make kind of a
pattern for our wreath. You're going to notice that the pattern I'm using is very similar to the same pattern that I used when we were playing with the stamping platform and I was building wreaths that way. Oh, this part I really enjoy. I also gave each of the witch a potion ingredients to put into a bubbling cauldron. Right now, we're going to be placing those mini skulls. This is from Coffin Box. And I cut 3 of these out of some scrap packaging from some Tim Holtz stencils. I love reusing the distressed packaging. It gives great effect, and it's a great way to incorporate pieces that are upcycled. Now I'm going to stick the berries in here. That little splash of green gives us a lovely contrast against all of that black and purple. So just kind of roughly placing them. I'll glue the actual parts together later on. But mostly I just want to get a feel for how this is going to look. I'm pretty happy with the way we've got this set up, so we're now going to be kicking this on fast forward as I glue all of these elements in place. I also think I'm going to add a cauldron to this too.
Here are the completed fall foliage wreaths. So first we did a classical wreath with traditional fall colors on this gorgeous sparkling plaid cardstock. Absolutely love that. And we die cut all sorts of flowers and foliage to create this fall wreath. Then we switched gears and we brought to life a fun, spooky scene using the same wreath, but we embellished it with some different things from some of the other vault sets, such as the skulls, the stars, and the fun bats. And we also pulled in the fun witch from Wicked. I also went back to the original of the witch sets and pulled in the cauldron. I also added some sparkling stickles to add some bubbles in the background. We used some pearlescent distress crayons along with this wonderful Wicked text. Thank you so much for joining me here today at the Crafty Corner as we've been playing and exploring with the brand new Tim Holtz From the Vault collection. I hope that you've enjoyed today's projects, and until next time, happy crafting!